Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping. It's where we review one of the top racing cards from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us. Week number 29 of the 2018 racing season. It's leg number 2 of our Midwest Stakes series, and we are headed to Indiana Grand in Shelbyville, Indiana, where they have a stakes-packed card that includes the Indiana Derby, though for some reason that race is not in the pick four that starts in race number 5 and ends in race 8. All stakes races in the pick four on Saturday. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. Folks, our East Coast handicapper, he comes at you from Staten Island, New York, Ray Torado. I'm actually going to be in your neck of the woods next week. So is there a meeting spot maybe between Staten Island and Philadelphia?
Man, that sounds good. We got Mama Park.
That's what I was thinking.
You heard it back there in the background. Up next is our West Coast handicapper, and he's coming to you from his home. It's in Temecula, California. Joe English, can you really expect your keen batting eye to be focused on Shelbyville tonight when I know you're peeking ahead to next Wednesday in a little town called Del Mar, California?
Well, let's put it this way, Rich. If the PPs had come out today, I probably wouldn't do the show tonight. So, what does that tell you?
I appreciate the
Priorities.
There you go, man. Honesty.
Fortunately, the PPs come out tomorrow, so I will have most of the day tomorrow, hopefully, and then all Sunday. And anyway.
What you're saying is
I can laminate your papers,
and I can read them when I'm on the plane to Philadelphia on Monday.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey.
All right. Last week was our first try back after just a brief layoff, and just like the horses, we apparently needed a week to get us back on track. We did manage 3 out of 4 in a tough sequence, but we got knocked out in leg 1 as a team. Although I will share that one of our group did manage to dial in that pick 4 score last week. All right. A little weather update for you coming at you from Shelbyville, Indiana. Just like the rest of the country, it's exceedingly hot. It's and I got this right off of weather.com. It's generally sunny, high of 94. Winds are light and variable, and the chance of rain is at about 10%. A total of 10 races, 6 stakes on tap for Saturday. For today, we are focused on the pick 4. It begins in race number 5. It concludes in race 8. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. The outriders are clear. And the starter is ready to pop the gate. It is pick 4 post time.
Let's get it on.
Let's do it.
Race 5. Approximate post time is 7:24 p.m. Eastern time. I do not know if there's a guarantee in the pick 4. They are going 1 mile and 70 yards on the main track. It is called the Michael G. Schaefer Memorial Stakes. The purse is $100,000 for 3-year-olds and older. 7 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 2. It's Seeking the Soul, trained by Dallas Stewart and ridden by Brian Hernandez. 3 to 5 on the Indiana Grand morning line. Ray, Seeking the Soul. Are we seeking the winner right here just at leg 1?
Michael G. Schaefer. I remember Schaefer beer. But
I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yeah, it could be. This is you have one horse 3 to 5. And here we go. Big class drop, 5-month layoff. I'm gonna try and beat him. He'll be my ticket, but I'm gonna go too deep. I'm gonna try and beat him with number 3, Pioneer Spirit. He got speed. Get into position here. He could be very dangerous if you're left alone. You got Flan Giroux, Brad Cox, they're 36% together. And you're talking a 45 race sequence. So these guys click, they win. And this horse is gutty. He's got 14 races, 6 wins, 3 seconds, and 3 thirds. He's 12 out of 14 in the money. So speed, he'll be in the race, and he's probably the one to catch, or he'll be stalking. He'll probably get the first track at the leaders, top of the stretch. So, he's second race off a layoff. He ran Churchill last time, a nice high-class allowance rate, claiming. So, he was 9 to 5 that day. And he does fit definitely with our 3 BG angle, which is, moving up for claimers into a slight stake race. So he's moving up. and he's got speed. So I'm gonna go with him, Pioneer Spirit. My second horse will be Seeking His Soul. He ran in the Pegasus World Cup. He got whiplashed by Gunrunner, 40-1. But you know what? It says 3 wide bid, flatten out. So he did make a bid, and against those horses, that's not too bad. Laid off for 5 months. He did win a clock last year in Churchill. It's a grade 1. So beating Good Samaritan, Opportunity. That's not too bad. So he could win this on class alone. But for the sake of the pick 4, I'm trying to beat him. He'll be on my ticket, for better price. Biggest Brian Hernandez. So that's it for me. 3-2 in the first race. I couldn't find anybody else. So Joe, you got anybody else in this race?
Honestly, it's funny. This is one of the few pick 4s that the placement of one horse, at least in my opinion, the placement of one horse dictates what may happen in 2 of the races in the sequence. Because if you look at the 4 Siem Reap is also entered in the 7th race, which we'll get to in a few minutes, and he's one of only he's got some speed, and there's one other confirmed speed type in that race as well. And with Pioneer Spirit having basically the same style of running, if the 4 runs here, I don't see them. I'm not sure they can beat Seeking the Soul if they both tire each other out, because like you said, Ray, I don't know that there's much else in this race. But if Siem Reap runs in the turf race later, I could easily, like you said, see Pioneer Spirit going wire to wire and saying, okay, well, Seeking the Soul may need one. And it's really weird to see Dallas Stewart always has the long shots in this race. To see him at 3-5 on the morning line is pretty funny. But so, like I said, to me, it's just a question of where does Siem Reap run. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm thinking that this race might be a little easier for him to get it's not obviously not a graded stakes, but stakes placed, as opposed to the other races a little deeper. It's a little more contentious. So my gut feeling is that he runs here, and Seeking the Soul is probably going to get a really nice trip, and he's probably going to win. He's better than everybody else in the race. So for this purpose, if Siem Reap runs in the turf race, I would want to change my pick to the 3. For the purpose of the show, I'm thinking Siem Reap runs in this race, and he will unfortunately either take some starch out of Pioneer Spirit, or Pioneer Spirit will take the starch out of him and set it up for the 3-5 favorite. I hate going this way, but again, if the circumstances were changed and the other horse Siem Reap runs in the turf race, my top choice would be Pioneer Spirit. But for the show, I'm going with Seeking the Soul. And like you said, I was really hard pressed to find anything else in this race. So I would go with the 2 based on that alone. It's like you said, Ray, it's either the 2 or the 3 for me. But like I said, if you after scratches tomorrow, I would change my opinion depending on where the 4 went. Yeah. But for the show, I'll take the 2, single M, and 3-5. I'm guessing it's probably going to be closer to 1-5. But the horse is coming off a long layoff, and the horse is trying to come from. Generally, the horse comes from off the pace, so there is some intrigue into whether the horse can get there if another horse gets a loose lead. So I'll take Seeking the Soul as a single, assuming that Siem Reap runs in this race, figuring Seeking the Soul gets a good trip. So 2 for me, but check the scratches tomorrow, because to me at least that's an important decision as to the makeup of both this race and the 7th race coming up in a few minutes. So Rich, over to you.
Especially since one of your friends and colleagues thinks that Siem Reap is going to run the turf race, because I think he's more suited to the turf, and I think that's where the connections are going to lean. But I agree with everything you just heard there. Is take a very close look at it. I do have it the same way that Ray does. Just flip around. I ate the chalk, so I thought Dallas Stewart and Seeking the Soul is just so much better than these. That something has to go wrong for him to lose this race. And the thing that could go wrong is that he needs that one race to get back, that maybe he's not quite quick enough to get to the lead, and he gets stuck behind a horse that gets enough of a lead. Brad Cox and Florent Geroux know what they're doing out there on the lead, that he's not able to make up that distance. And again, that Three Broke Guy's ankle comes through for us. And so I do have it 2-3 though. I think Seeking the Soul is the better of the horses here. I don't think the layoff is going to make that big of a difference. I think the horse is actually just that much better than the other horses that are in there. If it doesn't work out that way, I think Pioneer Spirit is the most likely benefactor of that. And the reason I think that is as I started this off with, I think CM Reap is a turf horse, and that's where Ben Colebrook is going to go with him. But we'll see. That's horse racing. So I've got 2-3. Joe, I believe you just singled 2, and Ray has 3-2.
Oops. Yes.
I'm going to come on back to us. I can find the right screen here, and there we go.
I don't disagree with what you said, that I think Siem Reap is better suited for the turf race. I just think if you're looking at breeding purposes, it might be more valuable for the horse to be stakes placed on the dirt as opposed to the turf.
Absolutely. No argument.
In 5 minutes, we have Ben Holbrook on our show.
I wish.
Please be tuned.
I wish.
Ben Holbrook on our show in 5 minutes.
I was looking on social media to see if there's anything
I was going to say,
relating to it. But
while we're debating this, that's going to be our next feature on this show, is to have someone on social media out there reaching out to these people saying, we've got 3 broke guys, and they badly need your input on this race.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. We are moving along to race number 7. This is going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. It is the Warrior Veteran Stakes. Purse is $100,000. It's for 4-year-olds upward. 12 starters, and your winning line favorite at 3-1 is in post number 5. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this correctly. I believe it's Mr. Barilli, trained by Anthony Grinitz and ridden by Hugo Sanchez. Joe, you're going to be up here first. Again, correct me if I got that wrong, but it's Mr. Barilli.
Rich, you got. I'm sorry. You were talking. You're talking about race 7.
I'm sorry. I'm on race 7 already. I'm sorry. I jumped ahead.
You skipped one.
You know what? Sometimes my little template here jumped ahead for me. So we're on race 6. Excuse me. Right. I apologize. It is going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf, and that is the Indiana General Assembly Distaff Stakes. The purse is $100,000, and this is for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. 9 starters, and the morning line favorite. This one is in post number 4. If you're a Big Bang Theory favorite, this is Lovely Bernadette, trained by Bernard Flint and ridden by Florent Geroux. 8-5. Wow, 8-5 on the Indiana.
Rich, I can hear you talk. I can see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
Did I get muted there?
I think you did, yes.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Are we ready for me?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yeah, this is one. This and probably race 7 are the more interesting races on the day. But it's pretty amazing. We got 3-5 favorite in the last race, 8-5 in this race, and even money in race 8. If it chalks out, I wonder if there's a record for a low pick 4 payoff, and maybe this might be it. Believe it or not.
If it is, I've hit it.
I was going to say Rich has hit some beauties, but this one I don't. Rich, to be honest, if those 3 all win, I'm not sure you reach double digits. To be honest with you, unless something happens in race 7 that's like totally off the reservation.
Might be my baby.
Yeah, like I said, this is probably the most interesting of the race. I mean, I guess the 2 turf races are more interesting, the 6th and the 7th. I came up with the 1, Queen Caroline. Obviously, everybody knows who Mike Matz is. If you know anything about horse racing from the 2000s, he was the trainer of Barbaro, ill-fated Barbaro. I hate to say, but. And I know if you think Neil Drysdale's conservative, this guy's for you. But I'm just looking back at that last race, and this horse coming off a layoff from October was up close to what, if you look at the pace figures, 26 lengths faster than part of the first call and 16 lengths faster than part of the second call. And the horse was in the race, getting to the point where she was second at the top of the lane, and given the layoff and how fast that race was, flattening out to me isn't necessarily that big a deal. I mean, it's almost logical that something like this would happen. He's given, he normally would give this filly some more time, mare, more time off, but he wheels her back within 3 weeks, and she has a nice bullet drill over the Fair Hill, easy for me to say, Fair Hill surface, about a week ago. And like I said, normally, like I said, Mike Matz is generally more conservative. I think he's running this horse because the horse has obviously responded well, given that bullet drill. And obviously she's running this race before. She ran in it in 2017, and she ran fifth of 7. And if I remember, Linda and Bowley were not necessarily grade 1 placed, but they ran. I think Linda ran behind. I can't remember the horse's name. Roca Rojo, maybe in Churchill Downs a while back. Maybe either on Derby Day last year or Oaks Day last year, and she won kind of handily. And I think Linda finished third in that race. So obviously that's a decent enough showing. And if you look even the races earlier than that, I see Cambodia in there. I see On Leave in there. I see Alicia's World. And even running a decent, at least for the first 2 calls, running in the Athenia at Belmont before the layoff last year, running against some decent horses. She saves ground. She should save ground. She should get a nice trip based on the rail that she drew. And like I said, I don't have a problem with her being short last time out. I would take 8-1 because I think she can fit. She fits in with this group. And I think if she improves off that last race, she's got a chance in here at 8-1. Like I said, I'm trusting that Matz knows what he's doing, and obviously he does. The horse has won twice over the Indiana surface, so I would take the 1 as my top choice. My second choice would be the 4, the favorite, Lovely Bernadette. Florent Giroux obviously has ridden her many times before to 3 straight wins, including 2 graded stakes races in Kentucky last year. She has a little bit more recency on her side, and including a win in a grade 3 last time out. And I kind of wonder, the only thing that makes me wonder about this filly is that if she just won a grade 3, why are they trying an ungraded stakes on the Indiana Derby card when I'm sure there's got to be something coming up either at Del Mar or at Saratoga, of the grade 3 or grade 2 variety. But maybe it's just because the trainer trains here locally. Maybe it's because she's been in the money both starts over the track. I would just think that they would want to give her a chance to run in a grade 2. Obviously, she won a grade 2 last year. She won the Miss Revere last year. So I don't see why dropping back into $100,000 stake is logical. To me, it makes more sense that she would move up in class, given that she's already won at that level, as opposed to moving down in class. So that's, if there's any hesitancy, that would be it for me. But you can't really knock anything she's done. Obviously, 8 for 17 lifetime, 5 wins on the grass. She's competed at the highest level. Obviously, even though she was 60-1 in the Jenny Wiley, she was actually in the gate. She's run against some pretty good ones as well. So you have to include her on your ticket. And I'm going to use one more horse, and that's the outside horse, Lovely Loirie, a 7-year-old mare who's won 7 times in 22 starts. Again, it's the fact that she's been running against better horses. You see Doña Bruja, La Coronel, 4-Star Crook, Proctor's Ledge, and those horses. If Lovely Bernadette's 8-5 in this race, Doña Bruja and 4-Star Crook would probably be closer to the 3-5 that we're getting on Seeking the Soul in the last race. So again, I think she's running against better, or she's been running against better, and the class relief may help. I don't necessarily like the outside draw, and it would have been nice to see a little bit more from her in the last race, but I could see that she was shuffled back in her last start. So maybe that had something to do with the fact that she didn't finish better than 4th. Again, 4th out of 7 is not great, not terrible. in a $100,000 stake. But again, the outside post, the short price, there's a little bit to be leery about with her as well. But again, she's one I think you need to include on the ticket. So I went three deep, 1, 4, and 9 in that order in the Indiana General Assembly Distaff. Say that 3 times fast. And Ray, I will pass it on to you. And I kind of wonder, did you go Keno in any spots on this pick 4 and maybe in this race?
I'm contentiously deep in this race. Maybe half the field. I got your horses, Joe. We're on the same page. So I do like the number one, Queen Caroline, for the same reason you said. She had a good race the first start of the year, and she can only get better. She does fit here. She's a middle distance runner and in similar class. She's 2 for 3 over the course. And, but the only thing, a little bit of Albrado's 2% on the turf. But, he can get this filly up there. She'll have a good saving ground trip. So that's just over the course of, this year. So, he's a good rider. So I'm not going to discount that. But, he probably gets a lot of mounts, long shots, because all these good riders get the good horses. So, you can't really say his percentage is because he can ride on turf. Just, he doesn't get the horses. But, in this case, he has a decent horse. So I like Queen Caroline. I do like number 4, Lovely Bernadette. She's 8 for 17. Like a winning machine. She won off the layoff the first time, 4 years old. The Mint Julep. So, this race does fit her also. She's working bullets. Drew's got some good mounts on the card, so he's here to win some races. And depending on the pace, she could be here close or a little far back. She's versatile, so she'll get a good trip. And 9 to 5, 8 to 5, like you said, she'll be on my ticket also. I do like number 6, West Ispa, 3 to 1. She raced last year in this race. Was in the race within fire. She'll be racing a little better class this year. Her figures are up. So she's a little more prepared this year. And Lepuzu, will ride her. And, they're going to close. Hopefully they're going to get pace. She had a little trouble last time in that same Mount Julep race in Churchill. She had a lot of horses here for Churchill coming to this Indiana. So it's not that far off. And they're shipping in here. It's a good, decent card. So, this is like the calm before the storm. You got Saratoga, you got Del Mar. So, just looking for some good, decent races to run in. And these races fit. I do like number 9, Joe, like you like the Lovely Laurie, last year's winner. She's back for more. Running gets better. Same thing, she could get a pace. She could stalk from outside. And she's going to get a nice little trip there. Second race off the layoff. One long shot I have here for you guys is number 5, Sweet Legacy, George Arnold. Second legs of the pick 4 for me, I don't know about you guys, has been a biatch because we always get knocked
Hey,
out.
it's a family show.
I look for as much as much horse as I do in the second leg because, man, we always get knocked out in the second leg. It just kills me. So Sweet Legacy, 12 to 1. This is one of those horses who could do it. She got 3 wins. She's shipping in. Second race off the layoff. Ran in the claimer. She was in the race. She had trouble around the turn. And, George Arnold can light them up too. So, Brian Hernandez. So, 12 to 1, Sweet Legacy. So, I got 5 of them. Hopefully, I won't get knocked out this year. This is the week, actually. So, 1, 4, 6, 9, 5. Rich?
You guys got me reaching.
Also, Belmont Stakes Day. I don't know. I think if I remember, there was a pick 3 that might have paid, I don't know, 3 or 4 something dollars. So that was bad with the 3 chalks. So
I'm reaching here for I've got my little highlighter here and like that. So I'm on my page when I mark down my picks, which I've always got my picks on here. But when Ray and Joe make a convincing case for a horse, and I put it down on my second line, I always make sure that I highlight that horse just to make sure that if what I heard on this show this night and things like that, that I know, especially if I've got room in my pick 4 ticket, then on my individual ticket, I'll go ahead and add whatever it is that you guys have. So tonight, the 1 is getting highlighted because apparently I missed that horse. As you'll see here from me, I've got my check mark on Res Ipsa. or Ray Ipsa. I'm not sure exactly
Right.
how I pronounce that one.
Uh,
Yeah, I get that one confused all the time, and sometimes I hear different race callers call it a little bit differently as well. So, Ian Wilkes and Julian Leparoux. Leparoux, one of the finest turf riders in America. So, putting my faith in him. The horse, if you look back there, little two-race winning streak, lower level, and then steps up to the Honey Fox and finishes second by a nose to Lull, and ahead of On Leave. And that's just back in March of 2018. So that's just a few months ago. Steps it up on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is Derby Day in the Distaff Turf Mile. That was a grade two, and finishes ninth, but just 6 3/4 lengths out. Not not a horrible performance, as you see horses like Proctor's Legend there, On Leave and Dream a While, and then that last one where the horse really does. If you look at just that first call rating for Recipsa, that last race is just uncharacteristic for the horse, dropping that far out of the race and then just comes running like crazy at the end there with Dylan Cannon aboard. Now switches back to Leparoux, maybe the preferred jockey. I've got the 6 as my top choice here. On top, I initially just saw it as a 2-horse race. I saw this again as a little bit of a chalk eating weasel race and just went right back to Lovely Bernadette. That's the horse that beat Recipsa in that last race, when Ray Ipsa or Recipsa was the favorite. And so I was just going to go 6-4, but having listened to my 2 colleagues here so far, I'm thinking that the 1 is now highlighted on my page as well. So I've gone 6-4. Joe went 1-4-9. Ray went 1-4-6-9. And I believe the
5.
5 is the
Yeah.
5 on your top line as well,
Yeah,
Ray?
yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay.
all of them. Yeah, 5.
All right. So I'd have fired up your Keno machine had I known. I would have had the ping pong balls flying and everything for you. There we go.
Super
I'm gonna.
Lotto. What? No, Mega Millions is like 300
Mega Millions. I got
or
20
something.
bucks on that, boy.
All right, I am coming on back
Like-
to you, and we are going to move along to. I believe this is race number 7, and you've already gotten a preview of what I was going to say for race number 7 because I jumped ahead. It is a mile and a 16th on the turf. It is the Warrior Veteran Stakes. A purse is $100,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. 12 starters, and your morning line favorite at 3-1 is in post number 5. And again, I'm hoping I pronounced this correctly, but it's Mr. Brilli, trained by Anthony Granitz and trained by Hugo Sanchez. And Ray, you are back up again. This is the Warrior Veteran Stakes. Anytime I think of this area, the Warrior Veterans.
This race, it's pretty contentious. I tell you. I do like number 9. The tepid pick for number 9. Dot Matrix. We got those connections again. Brad Cox, Florent Giroux. Like I said before, 36%, a 45 race sample. So they do win together. This horse coming from Belmont. Keeneland. Last year was in Belmont to Kingston. It's New York State bred. One of my
There you
boys.
go, just like
one
you
of my
guys.
boys here for the breeders. 2 for 4 this year. With a second. So the figures are up. Been running high allowance races, and kind of a closer. And if the pace is kind of tepid, can sit second or third, and this horse can be in the race. I firmly believe that. It's 4-1 morning line, so the morning line per people think of this horse. Just missed last time. That was a nice race to Kingston. It's always a good. That was on Memorial Day when they have a New York Showcase Day. So he finished 4th. He was in the race. Often plans a good horse. Rap. Carafa is one of the New York bred legends we have there. He runs with Khalifa and all these horses. So that was a good race. Ran 35 and then 1 mile on the good turf. So he's my top choice. My second choice, number 2, if he runs, Sim Reap. He's got the speed to wire these. He's 2 for 2 at Indiana Grand. So that makes me believe he might run here if he likes the turf 2 for 2 on the turf for Indiana Grand. So let's see what happens when the scratches come out. But he'll be my choice, second choice. Ben Colebrook, we're still waiting for you anyway. He told me you would call and give me the show, but I guess not. Anyways, second race off the layoff. Did win high optional claiming. Those non-winners of, you know, races. The speed, the pace is really fast last two races, and you know, Joe Rocco had him in wider field, so that was a good race, and should improve off of that definitely. I like number five, My Barely 72, Hugo Sanchez. That racing in what is that, Kobe?
Canterbury.
Canterbury.
Canterbury. Man, 134 and one. That's pretty fast. Closing the last quarter was really fast. I mean, it's funny. The pace ratings wasn't that fast early, but this horse came home like a train. I mean, fast. So I'm very impressed. That's 16 to one. Somebody lit him up.
Yeah.
He came on very fast, so I think his horse is definitely in form. He raced the race before that on the claiming race to Indiana and just lost by a nose, a 7 to 1. So those two races alone got me. His horse got me going. So he's gonna be on my ticket too. So I'll go 925. Um, that's it for me. 925. I couldn't think of anybody else. Joe, you get anybody else in this race? It's wide open, kind of, but
Matter of fact, I do. Matter of
good.
fact, I do.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned horses that came home fast, and my top choice is the 7,
Oh,
Larna, who just come out of a race at Ray was talking about the race at Canterbury. Well, what about that race at Monmouth in
Oh yeah.
133 and 3? Obviously, it's not like Rich said at the start of the show. It's hot everywhere around the country, and times are obviously fast.
Yeah, sure.
But if you look at again, just looking at the pace, the first call was 3 lengths slow, and the second call was 3 lengths fast. But this horse was far back. You would think that the horses that were up close early would have the advantages. And to be honest, I didn't watch the race, and I don't know if Force the Pass. I know Force the Pass is a speedy kind who used to be trained by Milmot. At least he was. I don't know if he still is. But it could. I mean, if that's the case, they ran the last 4 furlongs or 6 if you want to go see that the second call was faster than par. But this horse came home like a freight train and only got beat a half length. And obviously, Irish Straight came back to win out of that race. And like I said, Force the Pass was an old class horse that Bill Mott used to have. And again, I did not unfortunately have time to take a look to see if he's still in the Mott barn or not. But based off of that race, I really do think, and again, a lot depends on what happens with in this case the 2 Seam Reap, because I don't know that there's a lot of front end speed. The other horse that looks like he shows a lot of front end speed is the 11 Lanier, who would be one of my choices as well. But again, if Seam Reap runs in this spot, I'm like I said, I'm already taking for granted that he's going to run in the dirt race. And if that's the case, I have to use Lanier because Lanier could easily go. And I don't want to say just handicapping the back page wire to wire obviously does not happen often at Indiana Grand, but considering that there is not really that much pace in the race, at least from the horses, like I said, other than Seam Reap, if Seam Reap runs here, then you could see, okay, then maybe there's not, like I said, they could take some starch out of one another. And then a closer could win, sort of like Delarna could win. But obviously, Delarna ran a really bang-up race without having to have a fast pace in front of him last time out. So I'm going to give him a slight nod. I would use Lanier as one of my choices. He'd be my third pick. Again, I'm taking for granted that the 2 is going to run in the dirt race and not in the turf race. And of course, if that's the case, Lanier is probably going to be, I don't want to say alone on the lead, but he's going to get probably everything he wants as far as being on the lead. He'll probably have it all his own way for as long as he wants. And the other horse I would use is the same horse that Ray used, was the 9 Dot Matrix. And it's funny because I will go in the opposite reason that I mentioned in the last race. I would have thought when I mentioned Lovely Bernadette not running in a higher grade race, or not running at somewhere in a grade 2, or maybe at Saratoga or at Del Mar, I can see why they would run Dot Matrix here. Obviously, the horse is doing well because they want to run the horse here. Because obviously, Brad Cox could run the horse in a New York State bred stakes up at Saratoga. So why waste the bullet here if you got a race to run up at Saratoga. Well, you're not wasting a bullet if you think the horse is live. So I think this horse has a good shot to win in this race. So I would obviously have to use Dot Matrix on my ticket for all the reasons that Ray said. So again, based on what happens with Seam Reap, my choices for this race are the 7, Delarna, who would probably have been my top choice regardless, and then the 9, Dot Matrix, and Lanier, the 11. If Seam Reap is in the race, I would make him my second choice, and Dot Matrix would be my third choice, and Lanier would not be on the ticket. But for the sake of the show, 7, 9, 11 in the Warrior Veteran Stakes at Indiana Grand on Saturday afternoon. Rich?
Yeah, I hated to do it. Even the morning line looks nice at 4-1. I still feel like I'm a little bit chalky here. Those first 2 races were real chalky for me, unless I use that one that Joe and Ray gave me. But here I was on the 9. Dot Matrix is Brad Cox and Florent Giroux. The horse has won 3 of its last 5 in the 2 races that it did not win. One is a second by a nose to Arklow, and the other one is a 4th place finish. The 3 horses in front of them there are Offering Plan, Wrap, and Carafa. There's nobody like that in this race. So I kind of sided with this race with Dot Matrix. I felt like that's the strongest horse. Unfortunately, being as chalky as I was earlier, I started looking at the pace factors. I saw the pace a little bit differently than Joe did. So I did see a little bit of early speed in here, and I thought it would set up nicely for a closer. And seeing those last page numbers that Joe already documented for you, again, you don't see a whole lot of wire-to-wire runners here. It does look like it's about 68 or 69%, if I'm not mistaken. Go to the closers here on this type of an 8.5 furlong turf race. And so I did end up on the exact same horse that Joe did, and that's Delarna. The 7 horse has shown some skill here. At Monmouth, that performance was fantastic there to finish 3rd by a half a length. Again, forced the pass, a horse of note, and Irish Straight, a next out winner. So I thought that horse certainly deserves some merit here. Has a couple of wins back on its record not too long ago, back in October of last year. Then went to the shelf, comes back in April, has a forgivable performance, and then again, a really, really nice one there in the Cliffhanger. So I went 9-7 here. I just went 2 deep. Joe went 7, 11, 9, and I believe Ray, you went 3 deep as well with 9, 2, 5. And I will go ahead and come on back. Excuse me. Okay. And we are going to move along to the finale here. Unfortunately, that is not the feature race. This is race number 8. They're going 1 mile and a 16th, again, on the main track. This is the Indiana Oaks. It's a grade 3. Purse is $200,000 for 3-year-old fillies. 8 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 5. Talk Vouv to Me, trained by Rodolphe Brisset and ridden by Julien Leparoux. And she is your even money favorite. Joe, back to you for the finale. Talk Vouv to me, buddy.
What does that mean?
I don't even know what the hell that means.
How am I supposed to do it if I don't know what it means?
Whispering in your ears. I don't know. I don't know.
I got to feel like you're pretty close, right?
It doesn't matter. Whatever. I this race came up really, really kind of weak to me. But I guess maybe the Team Valor didn't want to try Monomoy Girl, and who's the other horse? There's another, I guess. I guess Midnight Bisou. I don't know if they were planning. I guess maybe I don't know if it's the test or they're going to run in the Alabama up at Saratoga, and maybe because that was just so difficult last time that, and I guess it's the same reason I can't just go out and single the 5, because it's like, okay, she just finished second in a grade 2 and in a grade 1. Why is she running in a grade 3 for 100? For 200,000? I mean, I guess it's still 200,000, but goodness gracious, don't you think she would be better off running? She could run in something, a little bit more to her, her stature for finishing second in the grade 2 and the grade 1 back to back. Again, I get you can still avoid Monomoy Girl and the Beast of Saratoga by running somewhere else. I mean, there are grade 2s at Delmar. I'm sure that she could win. But you can't knock what she's done. The only other thing about the 5, and that I will mention, and it's funny because this was an old. If anybody knows New York racing, and Ray and I are obviously grew up in New York and knew New York racing. One of Harvey Pack, if you remember Harvey Pack, obviously horse racing legend. One of his big things was don't take a short price on a horse doing something for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at Talk View to me, you know what she's doing for the very first time? She's running 2 turns for the first time. Again, I'm not saying she can't win. I'm just saying this would be something you don't want to take a short price on. She towers over this field. She should win the race based on ability, based on what she's done on the track. But again, I think I'm stunned as to why she's only running in a grade 3 here for 200K. And I just wonder if there isn't some underlying reason for that, other than maybe they just thought it would be an easy spot. It seems like it should be an easy spot, but again, going 2 turns for the first time here, and so I had to come up with somebody else, and I came up with the 6, Kelly's Humor, and this would be cool because you'd get Brad Cox and Flynn Drew at 8-1. That would be nice, now wouldn't it? Obviously, we'd seen 2 horses that they've connected on earlier in the card that would not get 8-1 on. But obviously, she's been running in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 races, and she finished second out to Classy Act last time. And Classy Act, Rich, that was that the horse that got beat last Sunday by that 49 or 50-1 shot?
51 shot, yeah.
In the basically the last bob in the race at Belmont. Can't remember the name of the race, but it was the
I
last
what the race was, but I know it was
$5 away.
I know it's a 50-1 shot that beat her.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is she ran second to those horses, and Road to Victory was in a stakes race last time out. Gas Station Sushi won. I want to say, I don't know if it was the Madison or she won a 7 furlong stake at Keeneland not that long ago. So she's been running against some really good ones. Actually, it's the Beaumont, because actually that's the race that Kelly's Humor ran second to her in. So I again, just like in the other races, I don't see a lot of meat on this bone. Thank God it's not a bone that I would give to a dog, because the dog would starve. So to me, this is a 2-horse race, and I could easily be talked into singling Talk View to me, even though I see a small, very, very minor red flag in why she's here. 5-6 for me in the Indiana Oaks, Ray.
Yeah, you're right. She's doing 2 turns for the first time, and she definitely has proven herself sprinting. Even the Mount of Belmont, that's an elongated sprint, and she ran very well. To be 2 lengths behind Mom Girls, pretty good, pretty good. just to see her within 2 lengths is pretty good. So she's definitely singable. That's one of the question marks I had also. So if I have room, I'm also wanna add number 7 Skeptic, who's been the Mount 16 4 times. George Arnold again, that guy. Brian Hernandez, they're 27% together. This horse has won twice, 2 in a row winning streak, in lesser competition, but definitely fits well here. The late paces have been fast, so this horse definitely can like a route, 2 turns, and she's 2 for 3 this year, so she's developing as a nice little 3-year-old. I do like your horse also, Joe, Kelly's Humor. So I'm leaning to go 3 deep. I have to see, what I have the other races. But it would be 5-7 for me. I do like the 6 also. But if I have to take a stand, I would single the 5. But I'm still trying to look for I'll see I could put the 7 in there also. So for the purpose of the show, I'll go 5-7. Rich.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Ray. Actually, looks like I'm falling right behind you. I've got the seven. I've got the check mark on my seven here.
Mm.
I see the two wins in a row. I'm following a little bit of the light bulb angle here. I like the fact that the horse has obviously gone two turns, has won at or has been at Churchill Downs, and has won at Churchill Downs, has won at Keeneland, has had a performance at Gulfstream Park. Not a fantastic performance, but Coach Rocks turned out to be a pretty
Coach
darn good
Rocks,
horse.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
not necessarily anything to sneeze at. Brian Hernandez, a very good jockey. As you see there, George Arnold and Brian Hernandez, a little bit sneaky combination, 27%, something probably a lot of people don't know about. So, I ended up putting my check mark there. Not that I necessarily think it's the best horse in the race. I was just sick of picking chalk every single race that I had picked in the first two races. Didn't go all that deep in the third leg either. So I thought I would try and go around Talk Vuv to me. Still don't know what that means, but I'm going to use Talk Vuv to me in this leg, and I like the horse that Joe had liked as well. Brad Cox and Florencio is going to be all of my ticket tomorrow. I thought this horse definitely deserved for all the reasons that we heard. The second place finished a classy act. Again, 14 lengths off in the Kentucky Oaks. Just go ahead and toss that one. But before that, the horse certainly looks very solid. And again, Cox and Giroux, we've been talking about it ad nauseum tonight. So I went. The order is incorrect, but it's the same three horses. It's 7, 5, 6. I believe Joe is 5, 6, and I believe Ray is 5, 7.
Hmm.
And I will go ahead and come on back. Alrighty, let's go ahead and bring up our pick four ticket, and we will get going on tonight's action.
Ray, I got a question for you while Rich is taking care of that
Yeah.
template there. Did you handicap the Indiana Derby?
No, I'm looking at it now. I mean, we can do a
Well,
quick
that's
synopsis of it.
well. If you want, do you want me to start
Uh,
first?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, I figured that this would be a good way to fill a couple minutes.
Okay.
It's funny. I think there's enough speed in the race. I do like one of the speed horses in my top spot, and that's the four for Pete Urton and Corey Nakatani, Dark Vader, coming out of the Easy Goer, coming out of what I think are better races. The dirt horses in Southern California seem to do well when they run around the country. I think the horse can be, third off the layoff, can sit close up, should be able to avoid at least a little bit of the traffic problem that might result from somebody trying to come from the back. So I like Dark Vader on top at 8-1. I was not. I mean, I see King Zachary and I see the win in the win, and I'm like, okay, great, but I don't know. There's just I want to see somebody repeat a performance, repeat a good race, run a good race 2 or 3 times in a row. And it seems as if in this field, there are a lot of horses who run one good race or are on a different, like Blame the Rider is on a different surface. He's trying dirt again. And to me, it looks like the horse isn't a dirt horse. He's a turf horse. So, I mean, like I said, I went with Dark Vader as my top choice. And I actually like a little bit, and it's funny because I like this horse on was it? I guess it was at the Pat Day Mile. I liked Give Me a Minute that day when Funny Duck happened to rear his ugly head in that race in the pick 5. And like I said, I think there's a lot of speed in here. I think there could be some kind of pace meltdown, and if you look. 79% of the races out of the 14 races, 79% are won by E or P types. There are so many. It looks like there are many of those in here, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going to be on the lead, but there's going to be 5 or 6 or 7, maybe really close together. And I think Give Me a Minute if he can get the trip and if he can get the pace right. I mean, this is what I'm used to seeing from Dallas Stewart is 20-1 shots, not 3-5 shots. So I would go with the 4 Dark Vader. And I would think I like the 3 to, sort of clunk up, maybe be part of the trifecta, maybe even the exacta. So 4 and 3 in the Indiana Derby for me.
I like the 7, Tadawati. I was able to see the Ohio Derby, and he wasn't back in 3 weeks, and he would run too bad. Fourth to core beliefs, and so he says determined. He might be running into form. Definitely is kind of, I mean, we can't say drop down, but it's a similar class. So he's 12-1 with Carlos Santana, Asmussen. They do well together too. 31% on 90 races. So they're here for a reason. So I like 12-1 also. Um, I mentioned Funny Duck because I know this horse we we don't like this horse. This horse killed us in Pat Day Mount. We don't, and we were like, so if he's gonna do it, he'll might do it again. So number 9, Funny Duck.
I
Play
don't
him
know.
at your own. Play him at your own risk.
I think that race on Derby Day was a fluke, and
Fluke, yeah, no. I just
he's
wanted to
gonna
mention
have to
because I
prove
know
it to
you
me.
don't like him, so give him
He's,
some type. Play him at your own risk.
he's
No. But yeah, I like your 4 Duck Vader also, Joe. And let's try and beat King Zachary. King Zachary, like you said, these horses have to prove themselves to race. Good races over and over. I mean, the Wood Memorial was a bomb, and they beat won the claiming race 9 wins of 1. So no big deal. But
yeah.
6 to
No,
5, let them beat me. And blame the rider
exactly.
also. The Let Rule. He comes in for West Coast.
Yeah, I
I
just
guess O'Neill fetched out trying to get jockey
ex-
here. So
except
uh,
except that his dirt form is just completely different. His
yeah,
dirt form and
yeah.
dirt form are just
So
it's night and day, and it's like
yeah,
it's
I'm thinking maybe the softer grounds in the Midwest or maybe East Coast type sometimes
yeah,
help them.
how many times have we professed if East Coast turf horses go west, they dominate. When West Coast turf horses come east,
They
that's
disappear.
not usually the
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
That's not
So
the
that's why I mean, and again, I just think he's on the. I don't know that he's on the right surface.
Yeah, yeah.
If he was running if he was running in the turf race that we talked about, the Warriors, the Warriors veteran stake, different story altogether.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, it's just
Well, yeah.
it's a chance he's taking, I guess. Maybe.
Well, yeah, O'Neill always takes shots like that.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
brings horses and
Maybe Redham Stable's there for the passes, the free entries they get, for having the horse there.
I don't think Paul Redham needs anything free. Okay, I mean, really?
Hey, one of them horse will let you in.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
Sure, all right. Paul Redham doesn't need anything for free. Got
Wait,
it?
look at them, the horse. Blame the rider.
Blame Paul Redham.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. We
All
are.
right. Oh, pick 4. Here we go.
All right,
That's
we're up on
good.
our pick 4, and I've got it up on the screen right now. And for those of you who are listening, nice discussion, guys. By the way, and thank you for doing the little analysis there for the Indiana Derby.
On the spot too.
Yeah, sorry that it's not. Sorry that it's not in the pick 4. As you know,
Yeah.
this show you heard in the past. That's our gripe as well. We're not happy when they freeze
No.
it out of that race as well. But if you'd like, I believe
Pick
there is a pick 5, and so you
Right.
can start with our pick 4, and then go ahead and add on to those two broke guys.
Oh my
selections.
God, that pick!
Make yourself a
Wow,
good pick.
There's a double race 8-9, so use that.
wow, with all those favorites, man. I just hope it's.
So here we go.
3 to 5.
First leg, and again, we've got the 2 and the 3. I think Ray and I both thought that the 3 had an opportunity in there. Joe's got a single. We're going to head and leave the 3 in. That's actually Ray's top pick, so we'll put the 2 and the 3. In the second leg, Ray will be happy because most of the picks from his Keno machine ended up on this ticket. We've got the 1, the 4, the 6, and the 9. Let's see. The 1 is both Ray and Joe's top pick. I've got the 6 as my top pick. There's some consensus there on the 4. That's actually on all 3 of our tickets, as well as the 6. Let's see. How did the 6 get on here? Oh, the 6 is my top pick. And the 9, there's some consensus on the 9 as well. You've got Ray and Joe both like the 9. So you got 1, 4, 6, 9 there in the second leg. In leg number 3, the 9, that was Joe's top, or excuse me, that's Ray's top pick as well as my top pick. And the 7, that's Joe's top pick. And Joe, you've got some consensus there with us on the 9. And then in the final leg there, we've got the 7. Ray, again, you and I are on the same page. We both got the 7 as our top pick. Joe, you've got the 9 as your top pick. You've got some consensus with us there on the 7. And then the 5, Ray, you and I have both got some consensus there on the 5. So we've got 7, 9, 5. And also got $24 ticket, if I'm not mistaken.
Rich, in the last race, I'm 5'6". There is no 9.
Oh, excuse me, Joe. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
What did I
How
do
get a
here?
9?
5, 6. What did I do?
It's 5, 6, 7.
7, 11, 9. Excuse me.
No,
5.
I mean it's the amount's
6.
the same. Just the you just got the wrong. You upside down the 6 and made it a 9.
5, 6. So the 7's in there. The 5 is in there. The 6 should be in here then, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It should just be 7, 6, 5, and no 9.
And no 9. Yeah, there is no 9 in this race. Excuse me. There we go. All right, folks.
If there was and he won, oh man, we'd be.
Yeah, exactly.
Scratching.
Lights out.
I'm
All
glad
right.
there's no 9.
Still the same amount. I apologize there. My bad. And we've got 2-3 with 1-4-6-9 with 9-7 with 7-5-6. They're in the finale, and a total of 24-hour pick 4. Joe, you got that one? Or?
I do, sir.
All right. Let me come on back, and we will go ahead and wrap this one up for the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da. And all right, for those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, we will be back next week because, well, that's what the Three Broke Guys do. We will get together and take a look at another exciting card. And if I'm not mistaken, next week is our annual doubleheader. Joe has suggested this for us. So if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be taking a look at Saratoga Racetrack on Friday evening. That's the normal night for the Three Broke Guys. If you come back and you join us on Saturday morning, because we're so crazy, we'll get up early on Saturday mornings with us. We'll be right back with you. We'll be back on Saturday morning for the Del Mar card. So you get Saturday with doubleheader, Three Broke Guys, Saratoga, and Del Mar. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
And looking forward to the next, 5, 6, 7 weeks?
Oh, heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Time to party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For Joe English and Ray Tirado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good night.